We're cooking it up in here. Look at that. It is wonderful. Oh, this is so pretty. Ooh, looks scrumptious. Hey everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and it's game day again, and I am so excited to be talking about football. You know, last week we talked about tailgating and things that would be appropriate to take if you're actually going to the game. But this week we're going to do what to do when everybody's coming over, which is actually my favorite part. We don't even use the tickets anymore, our children do. So we love to have, you know, everybody over here and just really enjoy game day. So we've got some great recipes today. We're going to start with an artichoke Gruyere dip. This is a great recipe. It's going to be in my next cookbook. It's so creamy, real chunky. You can serve it hot or at room temperature. It's really good. And then we're going to move into a bourbon bacon deviled egg. You know, our deviled egg is scrumptious, but this recipe has a bourbon bacon garnish that you're going to end up using on salads and other things. You're going to really love that. How about cranberry almond chicken salad? This is a famous recipe from our cafe. It's in my first cookbook. It's very colorful, really delicious. And then finally, a sweet little BLT. This is a petite little sandwich that reminds you of all of our favorite bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. And in Vera's Corner today, you know, pimento cheese is everybody's favorite. I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you need to make a big batch. So let's get started on that artichoke Gruyere dip. I'm going to head into the kitchen. All right, so you know, everybody loves a dip at tailgating, and it's just great to just having a place maybe close to the bar or on the coffee table near the TV where people can just make themselves at home. All right, so I love to use pottery. That's really pretty prominent in my family room where we're going to be today. So I'm going to use one of my beautiful Martha Buck pieces of pottery. She's a local Augusta potter. So I'm going to just spray that with my pan spray, just so cleanup won't be so terrible. And I always go over the sink when I'm doing that kind of thing. All right, so I've got my pan ready. Then the other thing that I really love to always point out is I love to hand grate my cheese. So I did the Parmesan really fine with a finer grater. And then on the Gruyere and the Asiago cheese, I did a larger grate for that. All right, so I've got that. Add all my cheeses together. And you know, the cheese in this is a little pricey, but this dish is so good. You're gonna love making it. Minced garlic. And then I'm using Hellmann's mayonnaise in this recipe. Looks like a lot, but by the time you get the cheese and the other ingredients in there, it blends together really well. You know, and one of the reasons I actually use this mayonnaise instead of like a no-name brand is that it doesn't have as much grease when you bake something. When you bake a casserole and it's really greasy, you know, cheese has some oil, natural oils in it, but this makes it a lot easier and doesn't look quite as greasy. All right, now I've got my artichoke hearts, my spring onions, kosher salt, and then this uses milk and heavy cream. So I've got the heavy cream first, and then the milk. All right, so now we're gonna just mix this up. And you know, when I'm doing this sort of thing, honestly, this can last in the refrigerator for a couple of days before you ever even bake it. All the flavors will really get blended in together. So, you know, the tips that I like to give, you know, on entertaining, I'm going to kind of elaborate a little bit more on that in presentation today. But I certainly suggest that, you know, you take a tip from a caterer. You can't do it all in the same day. So look at what you're doing for your tailgate party and see what things on your menu you can make in advance. All right, so I'm just gonna get this poured into the casserole dish. It's gonna go into a 375-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then you, like I said, you can serve it warm or at room temperature. And when we come back from the break, we're going to get started on those deviled eggs with the bourbon bacon. It's going to be smelling so good in here. So I'll see you back in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining me here at my home today, I welcome you to my house, and I'm getting ready for entertaining for football. You know, I love to have people over during football season. So we just got through with the Gruyere artichoke dip that is fabulous, and it's in the oven. It smells so good. It's going to be really creamy, great hot or at room temperature. And now I'm working on my famous deviled eggs. You know, there's probably one recipe in everybody's family that if everybody goes over to grandmother's house or mom's house, she always does that. Well, it's deviled eggs in my family. And so this recipe has been around for quite a long time, but you know, I always put a twist on my own recipes, and today it's going to be bourbon bacon to go on top. And so this is really something that it makes it very unique. This recipe is going to be in the next cookbook. And so I have already hard cooked the eggs. So let me tell you about that. So my grandmother always had the perfect egg. And do you see how smooth this egg is? That the shells just completely came off of it? Well, this was her secret. So she would put the eggs in the saucepan. Then she would cover it with water. Then once that was done, she let the water come to a roiling boil. So once you heard that, you knew that you turned the heat off. Then you put the lid on it and let it sit for 20 minutes. All right, at the end of 20 minutes, you take it off the stove, pour the hot water off, and then let the cold water run over the eggs, and you get the perfect egg. The peel comes off really well. So that's what I've done. I've cut these in half lengthwise, and then I'm just going to take a fork and mash these yolks. And you see the color is a little bit discolored on the outside. And this is, you know, if you've made them a day ahead, sometimes you'll get that. But once you've blended it and you've added the other ingredients, you're not going to see that at all. We recently did an event where deviled eggs were the first course, and we literally did all the eggs at the absolute last minute so that they would be really creamy and delicious as a first course. But these really turn out really well, and again, these can be made a couple of days in advance to serve. All right, so there's some special ingredients that go in my deviled eggs, and I've got them over here. We've got Hellmann's mayonnaise, we have Wickles pickles, we have Durkeys, and everybody goes, what is Durkeys and where do I find that in the grocery store? Well, it's generally where the mayonnaise and the mustard is at the grocery store, and so look for it there. It's generally in a jar that looks like this. Sometimes you'll see it in their original packaging, but that's the way that looks. All right, I'm using the Durkeys dressing, the mayonnaise, and then French's mustard. That just gives it just a little bit of a bite. And so if you really love mustard, you can put a little bit more of this if you like. And then Wickles pickles. So these pickles have a little bit of a bite. They're kind of hot. So I love to use those in the deviled eggs because it's just a different twist to it. And with anything else that you do when you're using, you know, eggs that you might have small, medium, large, extra large, if you want to add any more to that, feel free to do that. All right, so once you've gotten everything blended really well, this is where you're going to add salt and pepper to taste. And I'm really heavy on the pepper. I love to see the fresh ground pepper actually in the mixture. And just a little bit of salt. All right. And then, you know, some people pipe their deviled eggs, but I actually love just to make it look homemade and do it with a spoon. So you're going to be filling each of these up, putting a little piece of the bourbon bacon. And that recipe will be on our website at VeryVera.com, where all of our recipes on our show are. All right, so in Vera's Corner, we're going to give you ideas of what you can do with pimento cheese, 5 different things. So when you make that, you want to make a great big batch of it. And then we'll go into our cranberry almond chicken salad, which you could use for a sandwich or just a bite-sized piece. So come back with us in just a few minutes. Vera's Corner is sponsored by TaxSlayer. It's your refund. Go get it. Hey, I made a huge batch of pimento cheese to make all kinds of things for tailgating, but I had this much left over. So today I'm going to give you 5 tips of things that you can do with your leftover pimento cheese. Use pimento cheese in the place of sliced cheese on your burger for a cheeseburger upgrade. To make pimento cheese deviled eggs, add about 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise and a half a cup of pimento cheese to the yolks of 6 hard-cooked eggs. Mix well and pipe or spoon the filling into the egg whites. Top with a slice of pickled okra. Dress up a regular baked potato with pimento cheese and bacon, and you've got a decadent, cheesy baked potato. Make pimento cheese the center of attention at your party with a pimento cheese ball. Combine 12 ounces of pimento cheese with 8 ounces of cream cheese at room temperature. Chill for about an hour, then form into a ball. Roll in chopped pecans or the garnish of your choice. Finally, nothing beats going at a container of pimento cheese with a cracker for a delicious and quick snack. Try your hand at these pimento cheese variations using my original VeryVera recipe from the VeryVera cookbook. Welcome back, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed those tips on pimento cheese. You know, we were very flattered last year when Garden & Gun asked us to do a demonstration on our pimento cheese. So we've got it right now on our Instagram at VeryVera Stewart. It's going to be an IGTV reel, so I hope you'll tune in and watch that. So we are now making our cranberry almond chicken salad. You know, we were noted for chicken salad in our cafe, and this is another recipe from the VeryVera cookbook. This one to me is really colorful, really delicious. One of the differences is the chunks of chicken are much bigger than they are in our signature chicken salad. And I don't know about you, but when I'm out of town and we go somewhere for lunch, I always order chicken salad because there's so many different varieties. And this is, to me, one of the beauties of a recipe, to see how many different things that you can do with it. So I cooked the chicken, just boiled it in water, got the chicken, it's chicken breast, and then I've cut it into about 1/2-inch chunks. So again, it's nice and chunky. So I've got all of these fabulous ingredients that I'm going to add to that. We're going to start with these cranberries. These are just craisins. All right, then I've got toasted slivered almonds. There's nothing like a little, you know, crunch in chicken salad, and in this instance, it's chopped celery. All right, we've got spring onions. And then here we go again with our Hellmann's mayonnaise. So I'll add that in. And it makes quite a bit. And this doesn't freeze, but it does have about a 6-day shelf life. All right, so then I've got white pepper, curry powder. And so this is one of the things, my husband, we have a daughter named Curry, but he does not like the flavor curry. So whenever I make this at home, I have to leave the curry out, but I really like that in the recipe. All right, so we're just gonna mix this together. So you're probably wondering what these little shells are. These are the Athens phyllo shells that you can pick up in the frozen food section. And you know, you can bake them all for a minute. They're really, you know, quite nice just like they are. But those are just the perfect 2-bite size for an appetizer. So that, you know, always is nice to remember too when you're making something that you're going to either pass or it's going to be on a tray and somebody's just going to walk by with a napkin, that you don't want the bites to be any bigger than 2 bites. All right, so when you do this, I also like to recommend that before you start throwing salt and pepper in anything, that you want to, just taste it with a fork first before you do that. I also like to salt the water when I boil the chicken breast. Chicken is probably one of the hardest meats to season properly. You can salt and pepper the top of it and stick it on the grill, and then it still isn't salty enough. So putting a little bit of salt in the water really makes that just the right flavor when you finish it off. All right, so this is about ready to go. And I'm just gonna take let's add just a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. And then I'm gonna be filling these phyllo shells up. So when we come back from the break, we're gonna get this all set up for my guests in the family room to watch the game on the big TV. So y'all come back with me and I'll get everything set up for you. Welcome back, everybody, and wow, you know what? People are going to love this, and hopefully you're going to go to our website at VeryVera.com and grab some of these recipes, whether you're having people over to watch football or whether you're just having people over, period. These are all great recipes. Can't wait for you to try them. So let's walk back through what we did today. We started with the artichoke Gruyere dip. And when I told you it was nice and creamy, just look at that. I mean, all that cheese is melted in that. And just, have some crackers to dip into it. It really is a splendid dish. And I've got a trivet under here because this is hot. And when I bake in my pottery, it's going to stay hot for quite a while. But it's really good at room temperature too. All right, then we moved over to the bourbon bacon deviled eggs. Don't these look so cute on a bed of alfalfa sprouts? I just love it. And those are just so cute with the bourbon bacon. And as I told you, that recipe is also going to be on our website. It's really easy to do, and it just crisps that bacon up. You've got a really sweet little hint of bourbon, gets really crisp. I stood some of them up, laid some on their side, and act like it's looking like they're in the chicken nest. So I really like that too. Okay, the cranberry almond chicken salad looks really good in the little cups, the little phyllo shells, and it's just a bite size, but I made quite a bit. Last in the refrigerator for 6 days. You can make sandwiches out of it. You can just plop it on top of lettuce with some fresh fruit. You can have lunch. So when you make a lot, either give some to a friend or think of other ways as you're doing your menu planning on how you can utilize what's left over with your recipe. All right, the sweet little BLTs. Again, it's a beautiful presentation. Love the way the tomato and the bacon. The flavor of this is just like the best bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich you ever had. In fact, you could put a little piece of lettuce on there too if you wanted to, but the fact that you've toasted the bread keeps those from getting soggy, so those are going to hold up really well. And this is just a crisp, kind of a sugared bacon. So it's very much like the bourbon bacon. It's just the difference in one ingredient in that recipe. All right, so just to kind of finalize it, we've got a watermelon skewer. This is just watermelon, a balsamic glaze. You've got a little piece of cheese on the top. Just put a little skewer in that, just bite size, easy. But these are all the recipes that were featured in Augusta magazine. And if you're not subscribing, I certainly hope you'll think about doing that because it's just a great thing to get in the mail. We do an article every issue, really capitalize on recipes and just things that will help you in entertaining. So to that point, let me give you some suggestions of 10 hostess tips that I try to keep in mind when I'm having folks over. So first of all, their comfort. You know what? There's nothing better than this big couch. And we just throw the pillows off and we all sit around here. We might be getting mad because, I have one son-in-law that's a Florida Gator and, we just never know how the game is going to turn out. Time of day will speak to what you decide to have. If it's a 3 o'clock in the afternoon game, what I've got right here is perfect. If it's at lunchtime, you might want to think about making sandwiches and something a little bit more hearty. And then at night, you might want to consider like a light supper. So keep that in mind. And then make it festive, make it look like you're having friends over and you're celebrating the game. I love the the Georgia Bulldog that I had at the beginning today. Posh Tots here in Augusta loaned that to me to be able to use today to decorate in my family room. And then make sure your bathroom is set up. Have your extra toilet paper very handy. Make sure you've got plenty of towels in there. Soap, maybe burn a candle. That's always important. Make sure you have plenty of beverages for everybody. Anything from beer to water to sodas, you know, whatever. Sometimes people like to make specialty drinks when they're having folks over. Make it festive, remember. And then crowd pleasers. You know, you are the hostess or the host. And so making sure that everybody's comfortable. You're walking around making sure I need to put some more deviled eggs out, or I need to add more sandwiches. You know, you're responsible for that. But also be the person that remembers that they're not the host and they're the guest, and you would want somebody to help you if you were at their house. So try to be the person that maybe says, let me help you, I'm going to replenish that tray. So I hope you will remember some of these tips and also check out these recipes, and don't forget, no matter what you do it in good taste. I hope you'll come back with me again next week. And like I always say, go dogs!